Greetings everyone, welcome to Chess Advance, and today I'm going to show you a very beautiful games, and this might possibly be one of the best games I've analyzed myself, and I love this game. I found a very great analysis on chess.com as well of this game. This is, I think, Mikhail Tal's greatest sacrifice. I think he also mentioned this game in his book as well. But this is spectacular. I mean, this game is just absolutely beautiful, and you'll really appreciate this. This was played in 1953, by the way. Mikhail Tal is playing with the black pieces, and I'm still showing you with the white pieces because it will be much beautiful if you if you like see this with the white pieces. So without further ado, let's just start with this game. Mikhail Tal's opponent is Isaak Birbrager. I don't know how to pronounce that. If I'm not pronouncing it right, I apologize for it. But here, just d4, knight to f6, c4, c5, and d5. Just going for the Benoni defense, we have e6, modern variation. We have knight to c3, e captures, c captures, and just d6, and we have e4. This is the main line, or the main line that was played at that time. G6, in some lines today even this is played. So here, just going for knight to f3, bishop to g7, bishop to d3, and just castles. And the best move in this position is mainly considered to be h3. H3 is very powerful because simply you can see that there is none of the squares that are there for the bishop, so it will be difficult to get that bishop into the game. But here he just castles and allows that bishop to come in and maybe just trade this, so your weak bishop gets traded for a strong knight, and that's what you don't want in this position. But here, just knight to a6 was played by Tal, and bishop g4 should be prevent right should be played in this position, because again, that's the way you want to play chess, because you have to understand that if I play, you don't go back anywhere, you just have to trade. But I think Tal didn't want to lose the bishop pair early on, so maybe that's why he's just waiting for it. But now just comes knight to d2, and now that is not allowed. I mean, you could play it, but then it doesn't make any sense. But here knight to d4 was played, which is a good move considering the fact that you are attacking the bishop. But here just bishop to e2, and now that knight looks silly there. But here we have rook to e8, a3, pushing the knight back. Knight goes back, and now just going for this rook to e1, knight to c7. That knight has made a very quite an amazing journey. I mean, you normally don't want to play chess like that, but Tal is just Tal. Queen to c2, rook to b8, and just going for a4, b6. And here in this position, you have to be very much careful, because well, what do you play here? I mean, if I ask you what to play here, I mean, it's just very difficult to find a move. And the thing is that this bishop is is just very bad. You can develop it there, but maybe a move, I don't even know what to play in this position with the white pieces. That's the no, insane part. You could maybe play like a5, but then again, it's a bit too much, and you cannot even you have to connect the rook somehow as well. Maybe just b3 strike something, just trying to go for this bishop to finger to this bishop to try and oppose that bishop. But here just knight to b5 was played, and it and Tal said this again, I mean, in his book as well, that this is not something that makes sense to him. Why would you go for something like this? But here just a6, and what are you doing with the knight? You could go for a maneuver like knight to a7, then goes for knight to c6, just trying to do something like that. But here, if you go for knight to a7, then the bishop jumps in, then if you go here, the bishop captures, so you don't have much in this position. So I think Isaac in this position goes for knight captures on c7, and here knight to a7 actually was preferred by Tal in his book, but I just simply don't understand it, why it was preferred. Because let's say you go knight to a7, bishop comes in, this is the idea, and here after captures, you have a very weak pawn that is going to be captured. I mean, I don't really like this at all for white, but and the engine doesn't like it either. But I guess Tal at that time thought that maybe it would give something for white rather than what happened in the game. Because here just knight caps on c7 was played, and engine is like fine, like this is a draw. He doesn't mind. Here rook to e2 was played, queen to e7, and you have to be very much careful. Again, I told you, either you get the bishop out of the way, or either you play b3 and get the bishop there, because this is just not looking very well. And most probably, when you see situations like these, people tend to make a lot of mistakes here. In this position, Isaac goes for f3, and this is unfortunately one of those situations that f3 is not a good move in this position, and that's exactly what Tal takes advantage of. He doesn't like this move f3, and possibly a move like b3, I told you, was very fine, because here after knight caps on e4, you play bishop to d3. Now f5 now goes for knight captures, pawn captures, rook captures, queen moves, you trade the rooks, and then slowly you get the bishop into the game, and I think the game would be absolutely fine. I mean, not right away, because you would be hanging this, but again, you can just block as well. But I don't think you should you want to get the queen there. But here after f3 we have knight to h5, and knight to h5 is a really really beautiful move, because you have to understand that this bishop is being blockaded by the knight, and dark squares are definitely weak. So knight to h5 makes sense. Here knight to f1 was played, but a beautiful beautiful move by Tal. That's exactly what you'd have to do. You have an amazing pawn chain against the king. Your knight is on h5, is taking care of the dark squares. What you want to do is want to open up the position, and the only way you can do is by pushing the pawns, and this bishop would come alive. Here just f5, a very very beautiful move, and possibly the position really calls for it as well. Here bishop to d3 now, but bishop to d3 is well, not that great of a move, and it gives Tal a subsequent advantage as well, as you can see with the engine. But now again another beautiful move, f4, and you're never pushing this. You're never pushing this in your entire life here with all of these pieces attacking it. So this f4 completely locks down the dark squared bishop, and that's why it's a really really good move. But in this position his opponent actually surprised Tal, because well, if you look for a move here, if you look at like white's position and you try to find a move, like nothing really makes sense, because there is nothing. You can try to play b3 and get the bishop there, but then it's still two moves away, and other than that your king side is very very weak. Tal would just push the pawns, and he'll be a very happy person. But in this position Isaac goes for g4, and this g4 is well, you can see with the exclamation mark, it's actually a good move, but it still give Tal the advantage. And that's what happens when you have a bad position, and in all of the bad position this is the only decent move that doesn't cause too much harm. That's the perfect move. So here bishop to d4 check was played, and king to h1, and king to h1. And if you're thinking why not king to g2, we'll come to that, because here after king to h1 just queen comes in. So that's why if king to g2, now just position is completely lost, because queen to h4 just completely loses. Because here after rook to e2 you have this beautiful beautiful sacrifice. Here bishop captures on g4, and this position is so complicated. Do you take it? Do you not take it? Well, I'm here to tell you, if you take it, you're just completely lost. And you played this so that this wouldn't be attacked. So here if you go for f captures, just queen captures, and after king to h1, this is unfortunately for you a very nice checkmate. So but here after bishop to d4, king to h1 was played, possibly a decent move. But now queen to h4, and now your rook is under attack. And what are you doing in this position? You cannot capture, by the way. If you go for g captures, queen captures, and slowly but surely I just get my queen out. I'm up the exchange, I'm up pawns. I mean, I'm in a completely winning position. Wherever this game goes, your pieces are absolutely pathetic. My bishop is there, my queen is there, my rook is eyeing this, my bishop will be developed soon enough. I'll connect the rooks, I'll push those pawns. I'm in a completely winning position, and I'm a very happy person. But here after queen to f6, queen to e2 still doesn't work, because you have to understand, trying to defend against this, I mean, I could I could do so many things with this position. It's absolutely crazy. You can even go for here and set up some kind of mating net, because if you capture here, queen captures, and you can just push those pawns, and this will always be weak. You don't have a rook supporting there, so this is a very bad position to have. But here after queen to h4 we have rook to e2, and rook to e2 is a, well, okay move. I mean, definitely you don't want to go there and get all these complications. But here queen to h3, queen to h3 is not a good move by Tal, simply because of the fact that there was a stronger one in this position. Queen to h3 otherwise is a great move, but the stronger move was bishop captures on g4, and this is such a beautiful move, because here after f captures you play f3, and after g captures now you play f captures on e2, queen caps on e2, and now just go for the c4. This c4 is such a beautiful move. I mean, when you look at this position, no one even will think of playing c4. I mean, this just doesn't even make sense. Why are you playing c4 in this position? Because if you play c4, bishop goes back to b1, because there is no way for the bishop to come be here and stay here along this file, along this diagonal. And after rook to f8, now there's just too much pressure. There's just too much pressure. Let's say you play bishop to e3, bishop captures, knight captures, and now just rook to f2. Your position is completely lost. You have to sack the queen, and after queen captures, I mean, there is just nothing in this position. So that's the idea, and that's why Tal's position was completely winning. But he played queen to h3 instead, trying to maybe just set up some sort of weird ideas. But here in this position, rook to g2, but now comes queen captures on f3, and this is very dangerous now, because you can play here, but again, do you want to play here? Because bishop captures is coming, and if you capture, the bishop gets in, and your position is absolutely lost. So here knight to d2 was played, but knight to d2, well, it is a good idea. The position is still a draw, but in this position in this position here, g captures on h5. If he had played instead of this knight to d2, then after rook captures he would have been severely punished. That's why you cannot capture that piece. Because now you might be thinking, well, what is the idea? Because how is it any different? Why can't I just capture that? If you capture it, bishop caps on e4, now comes queen caps on f1, and now whatever you do, you're just getting checkmated next. This is just absolutely lost. So you cannot grab that piece. You have to be very very careful in this position. Here after knight to d2 we have queen to e3, and again threatening those same type of ideas against bishop captures is coming, and the position is going to be very much different. But here knight to f1, queen to f3 again, and knight to d2. Tal could have taken the draw in this position, but you don't take a draw in such position, and Tal is definitely not going to take a draw. So here bishop captures on g4, a beautiful beautiful Tal move, saying, you want to take my queen? Well, go ahead. I'll just replace it with a bishop. I don't mind if it's queen or a bishop. If I win, it doesn't matter. I'm not taking a draw here. And unfortunately for Tal, this position is actually winning. But in a million years, I think you could give this position to any person, and it would be very, very difficult to find the right moves. And I cannot replicate the exact position and time, but you have to understand that it's very difficult to find the right move, because here after knight captures, you play bishop captures, and your position is absolutely terrible as white. Just think about this: your rook cannot move. You have this b pawn that cannot be pushed. You have a bishop. You have these two magnificent bishops here which cannot be moved by whatsoever. You cannot block them, you cannot go and attack them. There is a knight there on the rim that can wreak havoc. You can get a rook there, and the position is so beautiful for Tal. I mean, you cannot do anything. You cannot even push move like this, because just I want to play that. So what do you even do in this position? If I ask you to find, like let's say we play bishop to e2, it's a crazy blunder, because rook caps on e4, and now after bishop caps on f3, same idea, you're getting mated. So now in this position, let's try maybe a move like bishop caps on e3. Let's play h3, but now you get this rook caps on e4 and again bishop captures, knight to g3 check, king moves, knight to f1 check, king to h1, and knight to g3 would be like a funny draw, but obviously Tal would not take it. But here after bishop captures, can you go for b3 again with the same idea of getting this bishop fianchetto out after so long? But just rook to e5. Now you're getting this after h4, trying to stop it. But again, the position is very very good. But let's say you try to do something else. Let's say you play queen to d2. Seems like a very bad move because you're just blocking the bishop. But here after rook to e5, you play h4. Now bishop caps on e4, bishop captures, rook captures, and the other rook is joining the party, and your king is still very very weak, and knight is still controlling a lot of squares. So position just looks very very bad. And lastly, you can also analyze this bishop to d2. But I think bishop to d2, sorry, bishop to d2. But now here there's only one move. There's only one move. You can pause the video, you can analyze this game, but I don't think so anyone is going to find this move. So I'm just going to show it myself. The move is, I accidentally showed it as well. I mean, just terribly terribly sorry for that. The move is actually rook to a3, and it's such a move that you're never going to find. You're absolutely never going to find, because here just rook to e5, and now you play h4, and I mean, white's position is absolutely good. I mean, it's decent at best, but it's still the one that you would want to play. Because if you move, you cannot move the bishop, by the way, because that pawn would hang. So the idea would be somewhere along the line, when the position a little bit simplifies, then you can just attack this bishop, and if you are able to trade one of the bishops, and maybe you can get into the end game with the queen still being there, you might be able to win the end game. But that, I think that is a really really far scope, because I think next move I'm going to go king to h2, and then you would have to capture, and after king captures, even though the knight comes in the position, or maybe if you play a move like this and try to defend this pawn, and then the knight comes into the position, I'm still doing maybe okay, and the attack is not happening that fast as I thought it would be. But again, this is very very insane. And all of this, like analyzing all of this, and it's just not gonna happen. Here just h4 was played, so this is like really stopped. It's not a bad move, it's really not a bad move, but it's not the best move, and sometimes you need the best move to beat Tal. And Tal in this position goes for rook to f8. He shifts his attention and just defends the pawn, and also maybe just threatens this. So here just bishop to e2. Bishop to e2 is a bad move. It's a really really bad move, because Tal shows you how. Tal goes for knight to g3 check, and king moves, and just bishop captures on g2. And after king captures, now you get this knight caps on e2, queen captures, and now comes this beautiful f3 fork, just forking the king and the queen. That's absolutely crazy here. Queen captures was played, rook captures, king captures, and rook to f8 check, king to g3, bishop to e5 check, king to g2, and bishop to f4. And it was on this move, on move 38. This is just move 38, and Tal's opponent has resigned the game. I mean, we got all this craziness, all these lines in just 38 moves. This is absolutely one of the classics of classical game of Tal. I mean, this is spectacular, and I really really love this game, and that's why I wanted to show it to you. I hopefully you've enjoyed this as well, and yeah, thank you very much for watching. You'll be seeing me with some amazing games like these in the future as well. So if you want to stay here, if you want to be updated, and just stay stay here, and just let's just analyze these games together. So yeah, thank you all, and I'll be seeing you guys hopefully very very soon.